Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today's video we will be doing the Americans versus the Japanese. Now, for the American ship we will be using the Montana class of battleship, the design that was designed after the Iowa. And for the Japanese we will be using the A-150, a further development of the Yamato class of battleship. Anyways, let us get on to the ship comparison. Now, for the ship comparison, we will be comparing these two ships in equal footing. We will start off by talking about their main guns. Now, the Montana's caliber of main guns is 406mm compared to the A-150's 510mm. Everything underlined and bolded means that I think they have the edge, and I can explain a little bit, but the main reason for the main gun edge is the caliber. Next up, we will be talking about the secondary guns. The Montana's secondary guns are 127mm guns compared to the A-150's 155 and 127s. The placement and the efficiency of the American 127s cannot be downplayed. Next up, we will be talking about their anti-aircraft defenses. The Montana again has another edge because of the 40mm Beaufort guns and the 20mm Oerlikon guns. The Japanese 25mm and 13.2mm Hotchkiss guns are also not something to laugh at, but they are some of the most inefficient anti-aircraft guns of the Second World War. Now let's move on to the torpedoes. Now, both ships do not have any torpedoes, so we are going to skip this segment and move straight into what we know as the armor. Now, the armor is one of the another things that makes a battleship. The Montana and A-150 side belt is very comparable, 409mm compared to 457. The turret face of the Montana is 572mm. The A-150 is 800mm, meaning that the A-150 does have the advantage in this category. Next up, after the armor, we have top speed. The Montana has a top speed of 30 knots and is also far more maneuverable than the A-150. In many regards, in turning circle and in rudder shift. The A-150 has a top speed of 27 knots. Not something to laugh at, but not as fast as other battleships. Now we have the weight. The weight of the Montana class of battleship is 96,300 tons. The A-150 is 97,200. For weight, I gave the Montana the edge because it is more efficient for its weight. Now, who do I think will win? All honesty, I think the A-150 will win. Even though the Montana class of battleship is a more efficient and a more effective class of battleship in some regards, in this scenario, the A-150 will dominate because of those main guns. Anyways, let's get on to talking a little bit more about the ship specifically. The Montana class of battleship was designed to replace the Iowa class of battleship. It was meant to maintain the same guns, have an increased anti-aircraft capability, thicker armor, and more main guns. This was meant to rival the Japanese Yamato-class battleship in terms of displacement. Initially, this vessel was designed in 1939, after the 1938 Naval Act, and after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Montana's construction was delayed. And after the Battle of the Coral Seas, battleships were considered to be obsolete, so the Americans decided to focus on a carrier. They planned to go with the Essex class of carrier. After that, the Montana was just left on the side. Next up, let us talk a little bit about the A-150. The A-150 class of battleship, unlike the Montana, was not fully designed. The A-150 was supposed to be finished with its design in early 1941. That was delayed, and it was pushed to 1942. After that, the Japanese decided to switch to aircraft carriers after the Battle of Midway, because the Battle of Midway destroyed almost all of the Japanese flat tops. The A-150 was pretty much the same as the Yamato. Same gun placement, same turrets, same everything. That was how it was designed. There is rumor that the Shinano was supposed to be a A-150 because both ships, the Yamato and the A-150, were very similar in design principles. Main guns, secondary placement, secondary armaments, all that stuff. The reason that the A-150 was never built was not just because Japan lost their carriers, they could have still built the battleship. They decided to go get more carriers because they have a lot of planes, and they realized that carrier warfare was the way of the future. Battleship warfare was the way of the past. But most of the high command of the Japanese admirals decided to stick with battleships because that's tradition. Anyways, that's all about the A-150 and the Montana. Let us get straight into this battle. As stated before, the Montana class of battleship would do fairly well against the Shikashima or the A-150 in closer range because of the efficiency of the secondary guns. Next up, let's move up to 10,000 meters and see who will win this battle. Well, the Montana won this battle. A little bit of a surprise to me, but let us move on to the 2,000 meter battle to see who wins this. I think that the A-150 will win because of its guns, but let us see. Well, the A-150 won that without suffering a major amount of damage. So, in my opinion, two mid battles compared to one no difficulty battle would invoke the 1,000 meter clause. So let us put the A-150, put it against the Montana, in two battles facing off against each other in 1,000 meter combat. Well, the Montana lost in a spectacular fashion, not dealing as much damage to the A-150 as I thought it would. You can tell from the screen that it is still green. Now, let us move on to the next battle, still at 1,000 meters, same two ships, and let's see who will come out on top in this battle. The Montana won that by doing an ammo rack detonation to the Shikashima's main guns. I was a little bit surprised, but at that close range, anything could happen. Well, that is all for this video. Next video, we will have the Americans going up against the British. If you do like this video, please comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.